Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever just wished you could skip ahead to the final chapter of your life just to know exactly how it all turns out? Honestly, it's a deeply natural human desire to crave that kind of security. But the debate case we're breaking down today, which is titled The Architecture of Chance, argues something incredibly counterintuitive. It claims that our total lack of predictability is actually the foundational ingredient for a meaningful existence. Let's dive right into it. Starting us off with Section 1, Two Ways to Live. The predictable life versus the uncertain life. So right out the gate, we're presented with this fundamental dichotomy of human existence. On one hand, imagine a life where every single chapter is known before it even begins. Sounds pretty safe, doesn't it? No rude surprises, no sudden left turns, just pure, unadulterated predictability. But then, contrast that with a life where each page turns with possibility. The source text actively pits these two paradigms against one another to really challenge our deepest cravings for safety. They're proposing that a totally predictable life, while sure it's incredibly comfortable, might actually be robbing us of the very dynamic essence that makes being alive worth it in the first place.
Which brings us to Section 2, the engine of experience, redefining the value of the unknown. Okay, if we're going to fundamentally rethink how we live, we really need to nail down our definitions so we're all on the same page. The argument here defines uncertainty not as some kind of fatal flaw or a looming disaster, but simply as the absence of guaranteed outcomes. It's literally just not knowing. And value? Well, they aren't talking about money or social status here. Value means emotional depth, memorability, and personal growth. By locking in these specific definitions, uncertainty suddenly isn't a bug in the human operating system anymore. It actually becomes the literal engine driving our personal growth.
Now, here is an absolutely crucial nuance from the authors. They state, we are not defending chaos, we are defending meaning. It is so easy to confuse uncertainty with total reckless randomness. But the debaters make a very careful distinction. They aren't advocating for a world with zero rules, and they definitely aren't telling us to go out and seek unnecessary danger. No, they are defending the specific kind of unknown that forces us to wake up, pay attention, and actively create meaning in our everyday life. To really back this up, the case outlines three specific pillars of uncertainty. First up, it transforms moments into memories. Think about it. Highly predictable, everyday routines just kind of fade into a blur, right? But a trip where you don't know the exact destination, or a massive risk you take that might completely fail, those demand our absolute, undivided attention. And that is exactly why they stay etched in our memories forever. Second, uncertainty gives meaning to time. Because a great experience might end unexpectedly, because it's finite, it becomes incredibly precious to us. If good times were just guaranteed to be infinite, they'd honestly feel pretty empty. And the third pillar? It builds identity. It's really only when the outcome is totally up in the air that our choices hold any real weight. Who you are when you have no idea what's going to happen next, well, that's what reveals your true character.
Moving right along to Section 3, the mechanism of anticipation. This is all about how discomfort drives deeper engagement.
This all builds into what I think is a fascinating psychological chain reaction. We all know uncertainty causes real physical discomfort. Sweaty palms, racing heart, the whole shebang. But the argument claims that very discomfort is the absolute source of value. Let's walk through this mechanism. Step 1 is uncertainty. Because we don't know what's going to happen, it triggers Step 2, anticipation. We start wondering, we hope, we worry, and that intense anticipation completely supercharges our Step 3, which is attention. We are locked in. We are fully present in the moment. And that ultimately results in Step 4, a deepened experience. It is a brilliant logical formula. I mean, it perfectly explains why we are vastly more emotionally invested in a nail-biting, tied sports game than a total blowout.
To really ground this in reality, the source uses a deeply relatable metaphor. Think of a student anxiously awaiting exam results. We have all been there. Sitting and waiting for that final grade is pure discomfort. It's incredibly stressful, yet it makes the outcome completely unforgettable. Think about it. If you already knew your results before you even sat down with your pencil, that entire emotional roller coaster, all that late-night studying, the nervous hoping, the massive wave of relief, it would all just disappear entirely. The core emotional payoff relies 100% on not knowing.
Let's look at Section 4, the cost of certainty. What actually happens when the ending is guaranteed?
Let's map out exactly what we'd lose if we got what we think we really want, which is total certainty. Look at this comparison. In a certain world where every outcome is totally guaranteed, risk just evaporates. And if you know with absolute certainty that you're going to succeed, your effort becomes totally meaningless. Why even try hard if you literally can't fail?
Your choices lose all their significance. Now contrast that with the uncertain world. Here, risk is very real. And because of that, your effort actually matters. The blood, sweat, and tears mean something. And those tough choices you make in the dark, when you have absolutely no idea what will happen next, that is the only time your character actually gets to step up and shine. The argument insists that certainty doesn't create a meaningful life. It actually flattens it out.
Finally, Section 5, Comfort versus Meaning. Let's weigh the final impacts of this whole debate. So as we pull all these threads together, we find ourselves weighing two fundamentally different realities. A life of certainty is undeniably stable, it's highly predictable, and it's safe. It is without a doubt an easier way to exist. But safety alone doesn't create profound meaning or lasting memories. A life of uncertainty, on the flip side, is immensely challenging. It's messy, it's emotional, but it is deeply transformative. The ultimate takeaway from the source material is this: while a life of pure certainty might be way easier to navigate, a life of uncertainty is infinitely richer to actually live.
Which brings us to the core paradigm shift of this entire argument, and it's summed up beautifully here. Meaning is not found in knowing the ending. It is found in discovering it. It's a real game changer. It reminds us that the joy of a truly great book, a thrilling movie, or a deeply fulfilling life isn't about skipping straight to the back page just to see who wins. The value, the growth, the emotion, it all lives entirely inside the chaotic, beautiful process of discovery.
So, I want to leave you with a final question to ponder about your own path. When faced with the great unknown, will you choose the comfort of a pre-written, known script? Or will you embrace a life where the pages turn with real possibility? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning the world around you, and I will see you next time.